There's been a lot of negativity lately surrounding the United States, and it seems like no matter who you ask, we're failing. I think back to the times where I have failed, whether I have failed a class or not got picked for a job or bombed a comedy show and stuff like that. And I try to think about what made me feel better and what ultimately helped me to get past those failures and move on to better things. And I always think back to my mom, who would try to highlight the parts of me that were really good, and that's what ultimately helped me to get past the failure and what helped me to kind of feel better about it. I have been feeling bad about being an American recently. And it's not that I am not patriotic. I love my country. I love the people. I think we're like the most awesome people on the planet. But I think it's got a lot to do with like there's been a lot of people picking on us. It's kind of like bullying. I know I'm speaking to a really niche audience here, and this video is intended for the people who have maybe been feeling bad about being an American recently, and maybe who need to kind of see the things that makes America great in order to be able to kind of like see our kind of current failures and stuff like that, and to be able to move on from it, and to be able to kind of progress towards a place where maybe we don't fail so much anymore. So I want to make America feel great again. And I'm sorry, Mr. Trump, for stealing your line, but yeah, let's kind of dive into some of the stuff that has and still does make our country great. One, our entertainment industry. When you look at like every major movie that has been produced in like the last decade, like pretty much all of them have come from the United States, and like they feature the United States in like some sort of way, and like it's American actors, and like it's the American entertainment industry that is like really driving this. Like we're doing so much hard work as actors, as like musicians, as writers, that it's unreal. And what's even cooler is if you go to like any college campus in the United States, you're gonna find at least one person that wants to be a musician, right? You're gonna find like one person that wants to be a writer like I do. You're gonna find people that like really want to contribute to this and that will ultimately end up succeeding in doing it. Like it is so cool to think that we have like almost single-handedly driven the entertainment force of the world over the last like more than decade, you know, over the last couple of decades. So I think that that is really, really cool. Two, our presidential election. A lot of people right now take our presidential election to be this super, super negative thing. And while there are some like negative parts about it, like people will say, oh, Hillary Clinton's a, you know, she's a crook. And people say, well, Donald Trump's a jerk. You know, Donald Trump's a jerk. Regardless, right? Regardless of that, let's look at least one thing for each of them that makes them like good. So I'll start with the crowd favorite, Hillary Clinton. People seem to like her a little bit more than Trump. I think she's got a higher approval rating right now. Just like the fact that she is a woman, right, who is being seriously considered for the position of president is like a really, really big step. Like, I know that we have our own problems with gender inequality in the United States, but when you look at some other parts of the world, like, there are still parts of the world that we live in today where women cannot go out on, like, into the street without the company of a man, or they will be stoned to death. And the fact that, like, we are so progressively minded and we're so forward thinking that we could be taking a female candidate, not even talking about the fact that she's a woman, and then seriously consider her for the highest office in the United States is amazing. It really shows like how open-minded we are as a people and how our government really does give like an equal chance to all people, and that is so, so cool. And now let's talk about the person who is maybe like not the crowd favorite. A lot of people make fun of him, Donald Trump. I think it's really cool to think about, he is a billionaire, okay? And it's not even that I'm getting to, but he's a billionaire, he's running for the highest office in the country, and then recently we had this disaster in Baton Rouge, Louisiana, with all these floods and stuff, and he took time out of his campaigning, took time away from his business, from his family, from everything, and went down there to, like, comfort these people, to help them, to provide aid, to bring, like, the media's attention to it, and like threw everything else by the wayside because other American people were having a problem. Like, that is so cool to think about, like how somebody that is like so high up there when you think about like fame and fortune and everything like that, that he could bring himself down to the level of like an actual real person who cares about other people and go and help. And I think that that is just amazing, that even our country's like elite, like if we had royalty, he would be royalty, that he would take time out of his life to help people he's never even met before simply because they're Americans. Like, that's a really, really cool example of how family oriented we are, like with each other just because they're Americans. That's so cool to me. 3, and this is probably my favorite one, our history. When you look at America as a country, we are brand spanking new. Like, there are not like a lot of other civilized nations right now that are nearly as new as we are. Like, all of these other places have their roots in like ancient history and things like that. And like, we were founded 1776, like less than 300 years ago, you know, almost less than 200 years ago. And that's nuts. That is like absolutely insane to think that we are pretty much just out of the package and that we have already made so much progress. Like, we are one of the world's superpowers, regardless of whether you're saying America's the best country or not. Like, we're one of the best. We have so much like contributions to our global society. Like, we've done so much, we've helped so many people. That is really, really cool. Like, and it's all because of the hard work of like our parents and our grandparents and our uncles and aunts and you know what I mean? All of these people work so hard to create this awesome infrastructure that we have, and it's just so cool to me that we can be this new and have already done this much. For the American dream, right? A lot of people will say, oh, it's dead, it doesn't happen anymore, whatever, but I think that the idea of it is still really cool, and I have like a little bit of anecdotal evidence here. My brother worked at a casino near my house over this summer before he went back to school, and he was dealing cards, and this Israeli guy came into the casino, and he was like kind of one of the casino's high rollers. You know, he had made a really good life for himself, and I'm sorry if this sounds racist in any way, but it's all positive, none of it's negative, so that's a good thing. But my brother was talking to this guy, and he said something that really resonated with me. This guy had said that when he was in Israel, you might open up a food stand, right? And if you made $1,000 in a summer, the next summer there would be 9 other food stands there, and everybody would only make $100, right? And like, no matter what you tried to do, like, there was such a pull down and like so many things that kept you confined to the class where you were. And when he decided it was time for a change, his first choice was America. Like, and he came here and he like successfully immigrated here, and then he took like that little food stand, like with like nothing in his pocket, and turned it into millions and millions and millions of dollars. And as Americans, instead of being afraid of that, we were like, yeah, sure, we'll try some Israeli food. And like, he was able to make it work, and that is so cool. And when you look at like a lot of the people who are in the like richest positions in our country, they have similar stories. Like, a lot of the players in the NFL, the NBA, the, you know, whatever, all of our sports stars, like, a lot of these people were homeless or like, you know, stricken with poverty or had these sicknesses, like, and they fought through it and made it work for them and ended up super, super successful. And like, there's a reason they call it the American dream. Like, that happens here. That doesn't happen so much in other parts of the world, and I think that it's awesome that we have such a great country that we can make that happen. 5, freedom. I know a lot of people, right, there's generally like 2 things that people bring up. They either say, well, we aren't really free, or they say, well, pretty much everybody's free. And I think it's important, like, to note that pretty much everybody is not everybody, right? Like, in the grand scheme of things, I had just as much of a chance of being born in North Korea as I did in America. Like, I had no choice. I wasn't tested. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I could have been born there. And that's this, like, horrible dictatorship. And, like, whenever news people do manage to get in to cover this stuff, like, I mean, you know, people get, like, executed for disrespecting the leader. Meanwhile, in our country, we have people that can put naked statues statues of Donald Trump all over like all of our major cities, and nobody's going to do anything about it because we have that freedom to like express ourselves and to criticize and to change and to protest, and it's all like so cool, and we have so much freedom as people to like do whatever we want. And then when we do make mistakes, like we're pretty fairly punished for those mistakes. Like even if you do get sent to prison, you still have like a warm place to sleep, you get like your 3 meals a day, you know, and like medical attention, things like that. It's really cool to think that we have that. In conclusion, guys, I know that we aren't doing everything right. I know that we have our failures as a nation, but in no way does that make us any less great. What really defines your character is how you react to your failures. Do you let them break you down, or do you build it back up? As a country, we failed before, and we've built it back up and become better because of it. There's some places where we're failing right now, and as long as we keep that mindset in us where we are proud, like awesome Americans, we can build back up from this point, and we can be like really truly fantastic. So to any of you out there that are feeling bad about being Americans, don't feel bad at all. We've been through stuff like this before, and we've become stronger because of it. My name is Timalik. Thank you all so much for watching, and as always, I will see you all next time. See you guys.